Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. So this one's next up in our little walkthrough different old Beckett issues series. We're going to move ahead a little bit from the last issue. We're going to get up to April 1992, issue number 85 with Frank Thomas. We got Frank Thomas here again. And now at this point, we've got the new design, basically as far as the Beckett is concerned, fully ingrained at that stage. So as we go through it, we're going to look at a couple of different ads. We've got an ad for 1992 Donruss, and this one is already highlighting the Elite Series, which already is starting to showcase some of the inserts, starting to transition over. And then we also have the Cal Ripken autograph version, which was a big hit as far as 1992 Donruss as part of that series. We got another ad here for the Beckett magazine, for the Beckett Price Guide, the book, and it's still utilizing the old design, which will be updated probably the next year or so, and that'll be something we may get a chance to see later on in a future issue. The next couple of issues, I think we'll go through the rest of the 90s pretty quickly, but we will backtrack in time as I get more of these issues in hand, since people seem to be enjoying the series. So we've got here the index of the different features and sections that are going to go through. So let's skip ahead a little bit here. We got the owner's box. Again, ad for the hobby books, so a lot of Beckett advertising for themselves. Then we get a feature article here on Ron Gant talking about it. This is also on the cusp of in the previous issue, it was talking about the 1991 Atlanta Braves, who ended up losing the World Series in 1991 to the Minnesota Twins. Jack Morris had that classic Game 7, and this is post that, but obviously the Atlanta Braves did have a very successful year getting to the World Series. They also got to the World Series in 92 and lost to my Blue Jays, but you know, at the time of this is April, hope springs eternal, and we're talking about the new season coming up here. So scrolling ahead in that same vein, we got the 1992 preview going through the various teams. We got Darryl Strawberry here going and talking about a lot of different players that are either on different teams or that they're optimistic may do something. So I'm just going to skip ahead through a lot of these. It goes through the different divisions and the different teams in there. Not too much craziness I saw. I could have scanned through these a little bit more closely, but we'll get through them. This one is a 1991 Upper Deck here of Cal Ripken after he won the All-Star Game MVP. So that was, I believe, 91 was an MVP season for Ripken, if memory serves me. And this one here is them trying to predict winners of different awards, like MVP and the home run leader and stuff like that. They've actually got different odds for the different players here. They got Cecil Fielder here at 3-1, which is kind of funny. Obviously, he had just come off the heels of a big home run season, and that's part of the reason why they were looking at Cecil Fielder as far as that's concerned. Got Bobby Bonilla Superstar Gallery. We got a 1992 Fleer Pro Vision card of Frank Thomas here, the cover guy, as well as kind of a fun series of cards where they utilize a lot of art. We got Steve Avery here. Again, Atlanta Braves strongly part of this, being that they were in the middle of their big run. Now, here's a big two-page ad for 1992 Fleer. Now, one of the big things, I remember 92 Fleer quite a bit. Obviously, you had the Roger Clemens career highlights insert set, but then also, and you notice from the first ad for Donruss, autograph inserts are becoming a big thing here. So we've got the limited edition subsets, quote unquote. We've got a lot of that going on. We got Frank Thomas here for Fleer All-Stars. We got Tom Glavine for Team Leaders. Then we got Rookie Sensations of Jeff Bagwell there. And you can see over 2,000 signed Roger Clemens cards. So the insert, as far as an autograph, is a big piece of the advertising they're using for this. And he had won the 1991 Cy Young Award, so that's why they're featuring Roger Clemens so heavily as part of it. Talking now about hidden gems here, we've got a couple of different players that at the time were on the upswing. You got Joe Carter there, who just came to the Blue Jays the previous year, and then Carlos Baerga and a couple of different players. And they were right, because at the time Joe Carter was getting 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. He had done it, I think, with the Jays in 91, and he had done it 3 straight seasons with 3 different teams. So that was kind of obviously a big deal at the time. Now going into the price guide, we got the hot and cold list here, and now we're going to go to a couple of the cards that we've looked at in some of the other issues and see how the prices are progressing. So starting up here, we're going to go with the 1952 Topps. We got the Mickey Mantle is up 2 with another up arrow. I'm going to highlight here. $27,500, so it has increased yet again. Not quite as much as last time because that growth is starting to slow down. Remember, we went from early 91 to later on in 91, and now we're into 1992. We're still in the middle of it. Obviously, there's still a lot of up arrows and activity still happening, but things will slow down in the next couple of years here a little bit. But for now, you can still see it happening. Now I'm going to skip ahead, and we're going to take a look at 1989 Upper Deck. We're going to look at the Griffey, and then we're also going to look at the Frank Thomas. And I will show you one other card as well for the 1990 Leaf, I think. That'll be kind of an interesting one to look at. So starting off with it, let's go with 1991 Upper Deck first. Card number 1 with an up arrow. We got Ken Griffey Jr. here, $65. So we got it with the up arrow, so it's increased again. And then moving ahead to 1990 Leaf, we're going to look at two cards that are kind of interesting here. So first we're going to look at the Frank Thomas as part of it. So card number 300, Frank Thomas with no up arrows, but it is up to $70. I did mention that they were neck and neck last time, and now Frank Thomas has edged a little bit ahead, but no up arrow. But an interesting one, if you look at card number 297, Dave Justice had his rookie there, and that is at $40. So, hard to remember, but Dave Justice obviously was a hot commodity coming off the fact that Atlanta had just gone to a World Series. So obviously Dave Justice played very well leading up into that, and he was very much on the hot list. So you got to think 1990 Leaf. And at that point, you've got certain players that are sticking out. You've got Ken Griffey, you've got Frank Thomas with the rookie, but then you've also got Dave Justice as another big rookie in this set. And you can also see over here, kind of that Atlanta influence. Steve Avery, card number 481, is $20 for 1990 Leaf. So just something kind of interesting to note, obviously given that they had just gone to the World Series, how much that actually impacted the pricing. Quickly scan through, we've got 1992 Diamond Kings there. You can see another Jeff Bagwell. And you can see a lot of up arrows on that. $16 for Frank Thomas on that one. So again, 1992, Frank Thomas is a super hot commodity. That's part of the reason he's on the cover. A lot of it makes sense in that context, especially for that time period. Now, going into the Q&A section here, I just want to see if there's anything that makes sense to look at more closely. Oh, here, this one's a good one. So this was a question. When I try to sell my cards to a dealer, he will never pay me the price listed in Beckett. So this one's down here. Why not? As with any other business, car dealers must make a profit to survive. This means purchasing cars for less than the amount at which they hope to resell them. When selling your cars to a dealer, you generally receive 50% of their retail value. Keep that in mind when the percentage can vary when the card is hot or cold. Well, there you go. 50% comps. Think about that. Skipping ahead, we got the different grading guide. We've got the guide for the different acronyms and things. So that's similar to what we've already looked at in the past. We've got an article here for Johnny Vandermeer and his back-to-back no-hitters. And then we've got different April birthdays in baseball. That's good. Scanning ahead, we've got the calendar for the variety of different shows. So in April 1992, we've still got a ton of different shows that are happening at the time. So you can already see there different ones. And here, the Orange County, California show featuring Dave Justice. So like I said, he's very much a commodity as well, especially around this time period. And again, the Atlanta Braves would go to another World Series in the fall of 1992. So scanning ahead here, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York State, North Carolina, Nebraska, Nevada, tons of different shows. Even a place like Oklahoma. So you can see here, this one, that entire column here, from here to here, and even into this next column here, so about a full column's worth, actually a little over a full column's worth, is just Oklahoma, believe it or not. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here for you. And then you can see beside it, Oregon. So plenty of shows all over the United States showing here. And that's a big part of what was going on at the time. We got the business card ads, a variety of different ones here, looking at it. If you remember any of those card shops, most of them are long since gone, but it is kind of funny. So scanning through to see if there's anything else here. We got the little comic books. This one's for Satchel Paige. And then my favorite ad that we saw previously, the Get a Life, Stay in School from role model of role models, Rafael Palmeiro. Good times. And then we got a feature ad here for Rafael Palmeiro directly as well. We got that included. A little bit more about Rafael Palmeiro. We've got a Ricky Henderson thing with the art. And scanning ahead here, we've got the actual reader's right. So the rest of it, this first part was the Q&A. Now this one's the reader's right. And we're focusing in a little bit on that. This one is a good one. This one's kind of a fun one. And stop me if this sounds familiar. So I'm going to read it to you. It's titled Complaints, Complaints. So I'm going to read it. It's always interesting to watch the steady stream of correspondence to Baseball Card Monthly, moaning about overpriced cards. While some of the letters make correct observations, they miss a more important point. People should sell or refuse to buy overpriced cards. Well, sage advice. They should be happy with the opportunities the baseball card market presents to them rather than complain. Man, positivity in 1992. Remember when people were complaining about how the 1991 Stadium Club Frank Thomas card was too high at $5 when it first came out? I think a few people would have liked to have seized the opportunity to purchase rather than complain. Collectors should only build a collection that their pocketbook allows. Man, fiscal responsibility, craziness. I remember in 1993 when Ron Kittle rookie cards were just as costly as cards of all-time greats like Roger Maris. Well, we had the debate about the Roger Maris in a previous episode here. The smart investor saw this opportunity and acted on it. There was no hype for Maris. It was just a matter of time before the market evened itself out. It is interesting to note the dearth of retired stars in today's hot list. There are loads of underpriced cards of these players. Today's prices will certainly look like bargains in future years. How about the 1975 Topps card number 312 strikeout leaders, Nolan Ryan and Steve Carlton, for example? Well, I don't think the subset cards are going to quite hold to the degree that he wants, but there certainly is something to be said for the all-time great players holding some value. And funny enough, the same lament is made, 30 years later, which is, 31 years later, which is kind of funny. Now, just scrolling through here, I want to see if there's any other ones that I think are interesting. Talking about different space in the price guide for lower price cards, the Topps Archives cards, doesn't want to get junk mail, which I understand. This one was funny because you had 3 different letters talking about them changing a policy on the pricing of factory sets versus hand collated sets. I did enjoy this one. So there's 3 different letters that are kind of saying the same thing. But here, you may not be aware of this, but the shift in policy has hurt the hobby. You have now shifted your position to start listing factory sets separate from hand set prices. This is unjust and unfair for the reason that it costs more to put together a hand set together. It is also coming from factory sets that have cards missing. And thirdly, the value of a factory set drops. If you open it to see the special cards, it may make it worth more. Those of us who invest more time and money in this hobby should not be penalized. G.L. Stewart, Missouri. So there you go. Good to know. Scanning ahead here, I just want to see if there's anything else. Complaining about too many ads, sure. And then talking about, let's see, different columns. Scanning ahead. This is related to autographs and spring training. We got a Roger Maris comic here, playing off of that letter. I think a coincidence, but it's funny that it was included. And then a feature article here on Tommy John. So when we talk about Tommy John surgery, that is the pitcher that it was actually related to, including his rookie card there for 1964. So there's Tommy John in 1992, who went on to have a very long career if you go and look it up. Then the Hot Players, Hot Cards, we got Nolan Ryan, and we got Roger Clemens. So by this point, Nolan Ryan had celebrated his 7th no-hitter, so big time. And as mentioned in that ad previously for Fleer, we had Roger Clemens was obviously just coming off a Cy Young Award season in 1991. An interview here with Nolan Ryan, a couple different questions asked him. A lot of it is pretty generic. We got the section here for back issues. A bunch of them are starting to be sold out here, so if you're trying to get a back issue at the time, starting to miss on that. Then we got here an article on John Drysdale. And then the final Reader's Right ad, Wade Boggs here on the back. And that'll actually come up at a kind of a funny point because we may talk to someone related to Wade Boggs in the next couple of weeks here on the channel. And then we finish up with Ron Gant, again kind of following with the Atlanta Braves theme coming off that World Series appearance the previous year in 1991. So this one here wasn't too much craziness as far as stuff included in it, but it was kind of interesting to see, obviously, prices were still shifting upwards, not as crazily as previously, but as of April 1992, things are still kind of rolling on. We will see that change in the next couple of years as things go forward, but I think for the next issue that I'm going to be looking at, we're going to shift ahead quite a bit, and then we will eventually come back and look at what things look like in 93 and 94. One of the things I want to do when I go to the Toronto Expo next month is I want to see if I can get some more back issues to kind of fill the gap, because we're going to go from April 1992, and we're going to be jumping ahead quite a bit. And I also have a couple of hockey Becketts that I'll be able to show you to show kind of the hockey side of things. But for the baseball Beckett, we will go backwards afterwards and look at what 93, 94, and even 95 look like. And you'll see a little bit of a change on a lot of these things as we go forward. So anyway, that's it for this one. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying these. I've had a lot of fun skimming through these and finding different things to talk about on a lot of these issues because it's quite the trip down memory lane. Again, knowing what's going to happen is kind of fun. So that's it for this one. More videos coming up on the channel. Live streams on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time where we talk about different hobby-related things. The next couple of weeks are going to be pretty normal. I am going to do a couple of interview discussion kind of things included in it. We're going to have the podcast still doing on Tuesdays. They're going to be dropping on Tuesdays. And then hopefully you'll be able to check some of that stuff out as we start heading towards the Expo. And then in Expo week, the schedule will change a little bit, but we'll talk about that more when we get closer to it. So that's it for me for now. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much, and we'll catch you in the next one.